Have you ever walked into a room and suddenly forgotten why you went there? Or searched for a word you've used your entire life, only to have it completely disappear? For many women in their 40s and 50s, these moments can feel unsettling. Some start to wonder, is something wrong with my brain? Is this the beginning of dementia? Am I losing my memory? But according to neuroscientist Lisa Mosconi, these changes often have a very different explanation. They may simply be part of something called the menopause brain. In her book, The Menopause Brain, Mosconi explores an idea that is surprisingly missing from most conversations about menopause. Menopause isn't just a hormonal transition, it's also a neurological transition. And understanding that may completely change how women think about brain fog, memory lapses, and cognitive changes during midlife. When menopause is discussed in popular culture, the conversation usually focuses on symptoms like hot flashes, night sweats, weight gain, mood swings. But the brain rarely gets the attention it deserves. And that's surprising when you consider a critical fact. Estrogen receptors are found throughout the brain. This means estrogen doesn't just influence reproductive organs. It also plays a role in memory, emotional regulation, sleep cycles, body temperature, metabolism, and how the brain produces energy. In other words, estrogen is deeply involved in how the brain functions every day. So when estrogen levels begin fluctuating during perimenopause, the brain suddenly loses one of its key regulators. And that's when many women begin noticing cognitive changes, not because something is broken, but because the brain is adjusting to a new hormonal environment.
Women describe menopause brain fog in many different ways. Some say it feels like their thoughts are moving through molasses. Others describe forgetting appointments, losing track of conversations, struggling to concentrate, difficulty multitasking, or taking longer to recall familiar information. For high-performing professionals, this can be particularly alarming. Many women report thinking, "I used to be sharp. What happened?" This is why menopause brain fog often triggers anxiety. It's not just about forgetting where the car keys are. It's about feeling like your mind isn't operating the way it used to. But research increasingly suggests that these changes are very common during the menopause transition. According to the Menopause Society, cognitive symptoms like memory lapses and concentration issues are frequently reported during perimenopause. And most importantly, they are usually temporary.
One of the most fascinating aspects of Dr. Mosconi's work is her use of advanced brain imaging. Her research team has used technologies like MRI scans, PET scans, metabolic brain imaging to study women across different stages of life. Specifically, they compared women who were premenopausal, perimenopausal, and postmenopausal. The goal was simple: to see whether menopause actually changes how the brain functions. And the results were surprising. Researchers observed that during perimenopause, the brain appears to undergo measurable changes in how it uses glucose, which is its primary fuel source. The brain consumes about 20% of the body's total energy, so changes in how the brain produces and uses fuel can affect mental clarity. During the menopause transition, brain scans suggest that the brain begins adjusting its energy systems. This may temporarily influence cognitive performance. But here's the encouraging part. Once women move fully into postmenopause, the brain often stabilizes again. It adapts. This supports the idea that menopause represents a transition period, not a permanent decline. To understand why this happens, we need to look more closely at estrogen's role in the brain. Estrogen helps regulate several critical neurological processes. First, it supports communication between neurons. Neurons communicate using chemical signals called neurotransmitters. Estrogen helps regulate neurotransmitters such as serotonin, dopamine, acetylcholine. These chemicals influence mood, focus, and memory. Second, estrogen helps the brain produce energy. Inside brain cells are structures called mitochondria. These are sometimes referred to as the power plants of the cell. Estrogen helps mitochondria function efficiently. When estrogen levels begin fluctuating during perimenopause, the brain must adjust how it produces energy.
This shift may temporarily contribute to symptoms like fatigue, mental fog, slower recall. Finally, estrogen also influences blood flow in the brain. Healthy blood flow supports oxygen delivery and nutrient transport to brain tissue. So when estrogen levels shift, multiple systems inside the brain are adjusting simultaneously. This is one reason menopause can feel so complex.
Because menopause brain fog can be unsettling, many women worry about dementia. That fear is understandable, but the available research offers an important reassurance. Most cognitive changes during menopause are subtle and temporary. They are not the same as the progressive memory loss seen in Alzheimer's disease. In fact, many studies show that once the menopause transition stabilizes, cognitive performance often improves again. Think of it like a computer undergoing a major software update. During the update, things may run a little slower, but once the update finishes, the system functions normally again. Understanding this difference can help reduce the anxiety many women experience during midlife.
While the brain is adapting during menopause, certain lifestyle habits may help support cognitive health. Many of these recommendations align with broader research on healthy brain aging. One key factor is nutrition. A Mediterranean-style diet rich in vegetables, olive oil, fish, nuts, and whole grains has been associated with better brain health. Experts like Mary Claire Haver also emphasize the role of anti-inflammatory nutrition in supporting metabolic and hormonal health during midlife. Physical activity is another important factor. Exercise improves blood flow to the brain and supports the growth of new neural connections. Strength training is particularly important after menopause because it supports metabolic health, insulin sensitivity, and overall resilience. Sleep also becomes critical during this stage of life. Hormonal shifts can disrupt sleep patterns, which in turn can worsen brain fog. Prioritizing sleep hygiene, such as consistent bedtimes and limiting evening screen exposure, can make a meaningful difference. Finally, stress management plays a role as well. Chronic stress raises cortisol levels, which can affect both memory and concentration. Practices like walking, mindfulness, and social connection can help buffer the brain from prolonged stress.
One of the most powerful ideas from the menopause brain is that menopause should not automatically be viewed as decline. Instead, it can be understood as a neurological recalibration. The brain is adjusting to a new hormonal reality, and like many transitions in biology, that adjustment period can bring temporary symptoms, but it also opens the door to a new stage of stability. In fact, many women report feeling mentally clearer and more focused once they are fully past the menopause transition. Understanding the science behind these changes can transform fear into understanding. If you've experienced brain fog during menopause, you're far from alone. Millions of women go through this transition every year. And according to emerging research, what many women are feeling isn't cognitive decline. It's a brain adapting to a new hormonal landscape. Books like The Menopause Brain help bring long overdue attention to this topic. Because when women understand what's happening inside their brains, the experience becomes far less frightening and far more empowering. Menopause doesn't mean the brain is failing. It means the brain is evolving. If this video helped you understand what's really happening in the menopause brain, you're not alone. Millions of women are going through this transition, and the more we understand the science behind it, the less confusing and frightening it becomes. If you found this helpful, take a second to like the video. It helps more women find reliable, evidence-based information about menopause and midlife health. And if you want more science-backed explanations about topics like brain fog, hormone changes, metabolism, and healthy aging after 50, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Every week, we break down the research so you can understand what's happening in your body and what you can do about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.